And earlier in the day today, I spoke to U.S. war expert John Spencer, who says that de-escalation looks unlikely for now, with Iran struggling to sustain a long conflict. He rules out U.S. boots on ground, stressing that Washington's focus remains on Iran's nuclear and missile programs, while India can play a stabilizing diplomatic role. Listen in to this exclusive conversation. John Spencer, he's of course a noted war expert. John Spencer, thank you so much for joining us. And let me begin by asking you, while the Iranian dispensation has expressed its interest in trying to negotiate and talks, Trump has also reciprocated, saying that he's willing to talk, but there's no timeline that's been fixed at the moment. Do you expect that there will be any kind of de-escalation soon, or is this going to take a lot more time?
That's hard to tell because it's not clear on who's actually in charge, so who you're going to negotiate with at the moment. And then would there be a change in the negotiation? This is the diplomacy that was tried on multiple occasions in both the Geneva and meetings to say you can't have a nuclear program, you can't have a long-range ballistic missile program, you have to stop with your proxies. And so if Iranian way of negotiating means that they want to go back to the old way of thinking, clearly since this operation has begun, that's not going to happen. So I think the United States president says we're always open to negotiations, but that isn't, and you could, but the escalation is there. So the number of attacks that Iran has done on 14 different countries at this point. I mean, every Gulf state, Cyprus, Jordan, so many, hundreds of missiles hitting luxury hotels and airfields, targeting civilians. That doesn't sound like somebody that's willing to negotiate at the moment.
Right, because President Trump himself has mentioned in an interview to a U.S. publication that this could go on for 4 weeks. Now, that's a considerable amount of time. How are you looking at it if it's going to go on for 4 to 5 weeks? We're looking at huge damage. And of course, do you think Iran has the power to sustain for that long a period of time in terms of their stockpiles and weaponry?
Absolutely not. I mean, the 12-day war that Israel did with the United States joining a part of the pursuit of the nuclear weapon damaged clearly the Islamic regime's air defense capabilities and its striking capabilities. It has launched over 100 ballistic missiles at Israel and caused 10 civilian deaths, but that's nothing compared to what they did in April, October of 2024, and then in June of 2025. I don't think that the Iranian Islamic regime could last a few weeks, but that is definitely a willingness to show, even in manpower. I mean, Israel killed 30 senior leaders during the 12 days of the last war. The United States and Israel have killed 40 senior leaders, the Ayatollah himself, to include the potentially the replacement for the Ayatollah. How many senior leaders does Iran have left? I think the United States is signaling that they have the capability to continue this for weeks, and based on the Islamic regime, whoever's in charge now, it may be necessary.
Right. One of the purposes of the U.S. invasion is, of course, to achieve regime change. But do you think that purpose will be achieved with just airstrikes? If we're talking about 4 to 5 weeks, are we looking at the possibility of boots on ground as well?
No, absolutely not. Based on just the United States' position, that is very unlikely. You can, war is uncertain by its very nature, but by the buildup, of course, and I was a part of the 2003 invasion, and the president has been very clear in both his speeches. Now, he actually has not been doing his normal communication tempo. Both his speeches, it was very specific what the goals are, the nuclear program, the ballistic missile program, the Navy, because of that, which I heard the prior segment on how important that strait is for the global petrol economy, but also liquid gas. Those are the objectives. But the president of the United States has been very clear that the byproduct of this operation with the very limited objective is regime change. And that's great for, I'm sure, for the Iranian people and for the entire region.
Right. Do you see a role for India in de-escalating this crisis, given the huge stakes that India has in the Middle East?
Yeah, I think each individual, and I've been amazed and covered Operation Sindoor, see the new India and the new strategic doctrine. Of course, India is rising to a global power, the economic, military, and everything. In this specific case, although it has those, of course, national interest, I believe that they can join with Israel and others in the voice of how did we get here in a bunch of failedness, and the greater outcome is greater peace, greater economic stability, not just with Israel, the Gulf states, even with the new Iran. I mean, imagine the unleashing the capability of Iranian 92 million people in sciences and economy, and even the petro systems. And I think it's important that, you know, that petro infrastructure, that oil infrastructure, has not been a target of the United States and Israel. And I think that's going to continue. Just from that perspective, I don't know of any direct role other than supporting democracy and the rule of law, and to, you know, not to be supporting global terrorism.
John Spencer, thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking to us here at Times Now.